fifth graders. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. So we are going to continue our topic on the coordinate system, and today we're going to be working on lesson 14.3, solve problems using ordered pairs. So right now I'm on page 789 in your workbook if you would like to turn to that page and follow along with me. So it says the table below uses number patterns to describe changes in the width and length of a rectangle. Let X be the width and Y be the length. Then plot each of the four ordered pairs in the table on the coordinate grid. What do you think the length is if the width is 5? All right, so there's a rule that we're given. For the width, you're always going to add 1. For the length, you're always going to subtract 1. So they start at 111. So this, they said our width is our X and our length is our Y. All right, so if we're going to graph this, so make it a little smaller so we can see it. Perfect. All right, so if our length is our width is our X and our length is our Y, 111 would mean starting at the origin, going over 1 and up 11. All right, 210 would mean going over 2 and up 10. 39 would mean going over 3 and up 9. 48 would mean going over 4 and up 8. And then lastly, their question was, what do you think the length is if the width is 5? So if the width is 5, following this pattern, what do you think the length or what do you think the Y coordinate would be? Well, we can either do 8 minus subtract 1 and get 7. We can also see that this is making a line. So if we wanted to continue that line, it would be over 5 up 7. All right. And basically what we're trying to do today, we're trying to discover and label graphs. So for this, our width will be in the X right here. Can't really see me writing that. I just wrote width, and then the length would be the Y. So if I were to just like circle that point right here, that would tell me that the width of this rectangle is what? Well, the width would be 3. And the length of this rectangle would be what? Well, the length would be 9. So we're just learning how to kind of read graphs today. So let's look at another problem. So I'm turning my page now to page 791, okay? And again, I am in my workbook, page 791, if you would like to follow along. So let's look at problem number 3. All right, so problem number 3, it says, write the missing coordinates and tell what the point represents. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so the first thing I see is that the title is jet car distance. All right, and then I see that my x-axis is time and my y-axis is distance, okay? So what would my missing XY ordered pair be? Look at the x-axis, look at the y-axis. What would that missing ordered pair be? Well, I can see that it goes over to the 5. So my X would be 5. And then it goes up 200. So my Y would be 200. So this is my missing ordered pair. If I just look at the X and the Y axis and look where the point reaches. But what does the 5 stand for? And what does the 200 stand for? Because yes, it's an ordered pair, but we want to look at the context of this graph. What does the 5 stand for and what does the 200 stand for? Well, the 5 is the x, and the x stands for seconds. So 5 seconds, and then the y is 200. So I can see that the distance is the y, so 200 is distance. So basically this 200 means that in 5 seconds, a jet car goes 200 meters. And that's basically what that ordered pair stands for. All right, let's look at one more. All right, let's look at one more. I'm still on page 791, but I am, oops, sorry about that. Getting it set up. I am on number 5. So let's look at number 5. What is the title of this graph? What is the title of it? Well, the title of this graph is Yosemite Wildlife Sightings. All right, so we're seeing what is seen in Yosemite, the wildlife sightings. What is the x-axis labeled in this graph? What is the x-axis labeled? Well, the x-axis is labeled deer. And what is the y-axis labeled? Well, the y-axis is labeled elk. All right, so what we want to do, we want to find out what is this missing x, y coordinate. Now, in order to figure this out, we're not counting by ones. Look at what we're counting on the x-axis. Look at what we're counting on the y-axis. And what I also notice is that there's a gap between 100 and 200, 200 and 300. So this middle part right here must stand for 50. So 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. So keep that in mind. All right. So what is this XY ordered pair? Well, if I look, I start at the origin, I go over to the X, I see that it matches up with 200. So the X is going to be 200. All right. And then it matches over here in between 100 and 200. So this must be 150. So it goes over 200, up on the y-axis 150. So this is our ordered pair. But now we want to kind of just think about, what does this ordered pair mean in the context of our graph? So look back at our title, look back at our x-axis, what it's called, and our y-axis. So what could 200 and 150 as an ordered pair stand for? Well, 200 stands for deer being seen, and 150 stands for elk being seen. So my guess is that this ordered pair, for every 200 deer spotted or seen, you see 150 elk. And that's what my guess would be, something around there. If you said something like for every 200 deer, 150 elk, that is fine, all right? But basically all we're doing is just seeing what the ordered pair is, finding the missing ordered pair, and then seeing what it stands for in the context of this problem. All right? Have a great day, everyone.